All right, you got this, bro. Man,
Yep,
really, bro. I really got to thank you so much for taking your time up for this, bro.
no problem.
Yeah.
Oh, we both wear white.
I know. But for me, I always wear white on my podcast. I always wear the white shirt. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, all my white shirt is always yeah lah. You see like too many WhatsApps, bro. Hey, how you doing anyway, though, bro? How's life? How's things?
Okay, now we just ended on Tuesday.
Correct.
I started my fractional in October, so now I'm mostly working on that.
And that's basically
Yeah.
most of the things you're doing now, lah, bro.
That's around half my time. So the other half of my time, from next week onwards, I plan to either start to just network, find new clients.
Yeah.
I told you I'm starting the DMEA in November.
Mm.
So that's the
Is
next,
that confirmed
yeah,
though?
yeah, confirm.
Confirmed.
Unless I found something within the next 3 weeks that
Yeah.
will change things.
Or you can be like a Anita, who just drop out halfway.
Yeah. But when you drop off is usually a good sign of things.
I think so too. I believe that too. All right, Marvin, let's go. You ready? Let's go. One, two, three. All right,
Let's
Marvin.
go.
Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. I really appreciate your time. It's honestly a pleasure, mate. Let me
Now
just
it's
start.
my pleasure and my honor to
Marvin, let me
join to
start
join
with
this.
a quick intro. Marvin, I met you through when we are doing our course together for 3.5 months with BCG, where we are trying to
Yes.
understand digital transformation and change management. And I like to believe from my interactions with Mervin could be one of the probably this one of the different people I've met who's probably a little more in tune into marketing, who understands growth a lot more, who understands the region a lot more, and also understands how the application of 2025 onwards would look like. So, Marvin,
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm going to give you a
Thanks for those kind words.
quick 1 minute to introduce yourself to the greater audience.
All right. Thanks, Rupesh. Thanks for those kind words. Yes. So everyone, I'm Mervin. I've been a digital marketing and growth strategist for the last 14 years. Interestingly, I started my career in banking and finance. My bachelor's was in quantitative finance. But after doing 2 3 years of that, I've decided to move. I take a master's in data analytics, and that shift brought me into the digital space where I went into e-commerce, Zalora, eventually leading the mobile marketing team, moving to video entertainment in View and Hook. Um, One of my most defining stints was in a mobile gaming startup backed by Singtel, where we brought the company from 0 to 1 within a year. We made 4 million within our first operational year. And we did so well that we got acquired. And that acquisition eventually led, because due to consolidation,
Yep.
then I went to join a digital marketing agency for the last 2 years.
Mm.
I think one of the key defining moments also is that I realized AI and technologies are moving so fast that earlier this year I decided to take a career break where I really want to understand a lot more on digital transformation, how product can marry with data and marketing
Hmm.
for sustainable growth. And that got me to join the Boston Consulting course. And that's where I met Rukesh.
Of course. That's probably the highlight of our past 3 months anyway.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
like this video, don't just watch. Like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube. And while you're at it, join us on Substack as well. I'm gonna ask a very open-ended question here just to kick the ball rolling, Marvin. Where do you see marketing? I don't want to pick or nitpick the word growth, but where do you see marketing in a larger scheme of things without the impact of AI today? We will come to AI at some point, but just in a cubicle where you are, where do you think marketing is?
All right. So I believe we're very much at the crossroads in terms of digital marketing or growth marketing, what you want to call. And I mean, this is a hot take for me. I don't really like the word growth marketing per se. I prefer to call it growth. in general, because at the end of the day, most companies want growth for their business, whether it's revenue, profits, user base, and whatnot, right? And so I like to see growth as a holistic approach. And there are three elements that I think defines where we are now. So the first is where we have been doing for the last 10 years, where we have put so much emphasis on tracking data, being able to do performance marketing. So that's where you get all the statisticians coming in. Even myself, I'm one of those. Right? I come in with highly mathematical background. So, and all that focus is a lot on being able to track every single metric, being able to predict, being able to optimize, really from a mathematical point of view. Right? And that to me is the bedrock of growth marketing over the last 10 years. Right? However, we have start to see a shift already. Over the last 5 years, even from media side, a lot of the ad platforms have started to build in AI without us knowing it, right? And in that sense, efficiency and impact has started to creep in a lot more. And that's expected of growth marketers these days, right? Where they are able to
Marvin, can you define, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Will you define a marketeer, a growth marketeer, a performance marketeer? I'm sure there are certain roles in each of them, right? I mean, we throw around this word, you're head of growth, you're head of performance, you're head of... But do you think in general that all these three kind of succumbs to one thing? Or do you have a different definition of each?
Yeah. I think they should be one thing. But that said, in many companies right now, is siloed. In fact, you hardly hear growth marketers these days. And if I were to put a definition or a differentiation between the two, performance marketers work in silos, just focusing on ad platforms or media platforms, while growth marketers go one step further, marrying product together with marketing. So they think beyond just what they can get through ads, but also how that impacts their users in terms of the product they're selling. How can they improve the features to get users to come on board? That to me would be the division between the two.
But wouldn't that also conflict to what you said earlier? Because if data tracking is not involved, then how will growth be analyzed then?
Yeah. So data, to me, that is now the bedrock, right? So I mean, we will talk about AI in a bit, but AI is not new. It's actually not new to us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, AI or even a lot of the predictive analytics have been around for the longest time. In fact, what it actually does means that it speeds up that as the bedrock. Meaning, in the future, there's no excuse for any marketer not to have data as a foundation. So AI basically just makes that even faster and simpler to reach that stage, where that is then the new baseline. But that being said, that's where marketers need to grow and change. Because if that is the baseline, then what differentiates one marketer from the other? And to me, there's probably two elements to it, but the major thing is then we are talking about being able to marry strategy, product, and kind of storytelling to weave the core brand message across these two factors.
I think I took a lot of inspiration from your last post on Substack, which I will link in this video later, which is about storytelling takes over AI, or takes over. Yeah, and I really do believe it, because the narrative is going to be more important than actually the output of what applications can do nowadays, right? And I believe in that 100%. I kind of wrote a similar story, just like you, Marvin. But now let's move towards AI. It's changing everything, bro. How do you think AI is reshaping growth, or how do you think AI is shaping marketing? And if you could, in your experience, share with us a couple of things on why we should be worried or why we shouldn't be worried as a marketer. Like,
Yeah, cool. I just briefly summarize what AI is doing in the marketing world. And it can be easily summarized in three factors. One is what AI is doing for you, what AI is doing with you, and what AI is doing without you knowing. So I'll quickly talk about the last one because that is something which what AI is doing without you knowing has been there for the longest time, but no one really talks about it, right? Simple use cases is when Google introduced universal ad campaigns, or when they introduce heat maps. These are all AI-led campaigns where it's essentially a black box. You just put in your objectives and they run for you. So there's actually a lot of AI already involved in that. And the same is not on Meta. And if you talk about what AI
is that
can do,
AI or is it more machine learning, Marvin?
so it's blur, right? It's how we want to define AI.
I remember when we used to text on our phone, then it autocorrect us and all that kind of stuff.
That in a way is AI. It's like probably the simplest version of Gen AI.
Yeah,
it's where or LLM. Yeah, where they are just starting to learn about context and language. Yeah. So of course you're right. There is a spectrum of what AI is and what we know now versus what we were used to previously. But that's it. They're all. I'll classify all that under the branch of machine learning and AI. Yeah. So if I go back to what AI can do for you, right now, I think the biggest thing out there where everyone's playing with is on ChatGPTs. They're playing with Geminis. They're playing with vibe coding, vibe marketing. So a lot of those are more on content creation, where on your behalf, AI can create the ad copy. They can create the video assets, the graphic assets. So it's a whole slew of roles where AI is starting to take over because they're doing all this for you. Yeah.
So what do you think AI can't replace when it comes to human creativity, storytelling, strategy, and all that kind of stuff? Is there anything that AI can't replace?
I would say the most important part is on creativity, innovation, and really telling a story or understanding the core brand, right? So, and maybe just to as a side note, as a preface, right? Everyone starts out as an account manager or account executive, or nobody likes to do the campaign setup and campaign creation and all this. I mean, all these things are time consuming, tedious, which nobody likes to do. And those are exactly the tasks which AI can do so well.
Yeah.
And I believe when they actually take over, well, we might see a slight depression because we need less entry level roles or capacity for that. But then what actually means it frees you up to do a lot more other things, which you might actually find a lot more fun. Thinking about the business strategy, how that ties between marketing and the product we're selling. We can talk about what is the brand story that you want to tell, right? And then how do you combine these two, where you take the brand story together with the marketing message and the product features, weave that to a compelling narrative that you can put out to the market and to your audience, to bring them into your ecosystem and to your community.
Yeah,
I think that is the interesting part of the future.
Yeah, but then it's a marriage of business and tech, right?
Yes.
In essence, that's what it is.
It's always there. Just now that it gives you less of an excuse not to be doing that.
Yeah, but I always thought the one urgent part that I think needs to be addressed in the world of marketing is understanding platforms more than actually see. I say this to my team very often, Marvin. I said I'm not the best tech guy in the world. I never will be. Trust me. But the thing is that I always say one thing: utilize them as tools. All right, but you craft your stories. But now you can craft your story via AI or via ChatGPT or via Gemini or whatever, name any platform, you can probably craft a story and give 10 examples. Do you think that's still relatable today, bro? Let's say I'm the head of Saatchi and Saatchi, the agency. Let's say I'm the CEO of Saatchi and Saatchi. Do you think that still resonates today, or is it because we can push up more projects faster, or is that more of a business thought process, or is it more of a creativity thought process?
Yeah. So I think you raised a really good point in terms of, and that was to the second point, what AI can do with you, which I want, which is also, which is I feel the most interesting part, because that's when you start to get bionic, right? Where human and machine works hand in hand. And that part is something which we are just getting used to it, because now AI seems to be part of our lives a lot more than previously. And to your point, it is not that you can just use how you use the platforms is going to be very different. So as you rightly said, you can just prompt an AI to give you the brand story, to give you a copy and whatnot. But what they will do is they will go back and take previously used stuff. I mean, a lot of what AI is great at is browsing through history, and coming up with the best practices, the what has worked. But that said, you might not get anything new, right? And that's where the human factor, the innovation comes in. So in a lot of content pieces that I think of, or when I blog as well, well, the writing might very much be done by AI, but a lot of the concepts, I mean, the thinking of, just in the most recent, how do you think of where AI is and what differentiates one from the other? A lot has to be from human imagination, or say human thought process that actually comes to that kind of conclusion. And then AI is really just a tool you use to bring those points together through. It can be words, but that said, the core or the essence of it needs to come from human. I think that differentiates a good marketer from the rest.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I always think the humanization of AI is very important versus just the application of AI. Because I always say this, when email came out, remember the first time email came out, bro?
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, we don't need mails anymore. I just send a fax across to the next office and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, to anyone listening, I'm a bit older, so I've been through the fax situation where you have to fax someone, I didn't really have emails back in the days, but an email came, we were always so afraid that the postman lose his job, but the postman still exists. Now they call them Shopee and Zalora and whatever. but that's what, yeah, I guess, I don't know. But I just feel like we are not adopting well to AI. I think a lot of us here are making AI a word that sounds scary. We're trying to and I feel that all the time. When I fight, Mervin, I think I told you many times over a couple of years as well. Like when I fight Jakarta, they would think that the AI is like they're going to lose their jobs. Everything's gone after that. And that's what I feel like. It's not true. I say you got to learn how to play this game that's going to play. You can't lose the game. So, what are your thoughts on this? Not so much the tier one country, bro, like us, like in Singapore, but maybe in Indonesia, in Philippines, in Vietnam. I'm probably sure they probably adopt it better than we do, but I'm just putting it out there whether we can use AI and not use it as a challenge, but more as a tool that we can use to grow.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. And so in Chinese, we have this, the word for danger. In Chinese, we say is weighty, right? But in those two words, one of those words actually means opportunity. So in every danger or in every big change, there's bound to have, I won't say casualties, but there will be some risk return and trade-offs that will happen. But that said, in most cases, and if you're positive enough, the opportunity outweighs the downside. right? And it's the people who are willing to have that growth mindset to be able to continuously improve themselves, learn new things, and make that shift away from what they've been traditionally doing to learning new things like AI, they will actually be able to leverage on this opportunity. Right? So you're right, there are people who are scared of losing their jobs. But in that group of people who are scared of leaving jobs, they can do two things. One is they can wallow in their misery, or they can take a course. There are online courses. You don't need to go for a paid ones like what we did. You can go for, there's so many free online courses. Learn about AI. Learn about what AI can do, network, talk to people. Even I myself, I joined many AI communities for product managers, for builders, just to go there and learn what people are doing about AI. Because, I mean, end of the day, the creativity and the options are unlimited. So being able to continuously learn and improve, I think that will differentiate who will be the casualty of AI and who will benefit from AI.
Yeah. But do you think a tech literacy is a part of that people who want to embark on this journey should know?
When you say tech literacy, is it a lot more? Okay, so one of the things which I always found interesting, especially in the Asia context, right? It's that I'm comparing it to the West. No particular West in specifically, but in Asia, most of the countries are mobile first, right? We not Singapore maybe, but a lot of our regional like China, they leapfrog the desktop completely and they move right into mobile.
I think Singapore is the same, bro. I don't think I ever used my screen is here, but I'm looking. Yeah, but I don't even use my mobile is my 100%, right? So
yeah, but when you're mobile first, it also kind of makes you pretty technology advanced in terms of being literate, right? So when COVID hit, who was the first to use QR codes to move into cashless? I mean, China was more than well prepared by then.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yep.
So if you talk about tech literacy, I don't think Asia's anywhere far behind. That of course there are levels. But if you go to the main cities, like say Jakarta, Manila, I'm pretty sure in terms of being mobile first, being able to use the apps, I don't think that will be an issue. But it's really more.
I think it's understanding the user experience, right? Like I feel like we always lose touch. Both of us are marketeers, are we on some kind of level of marketeer? I'm not me, but you more. But what I'm saying is that sometimes we lose touch of how the experience looks like, right? Of course, we're mobile first for sure, right? Like I pay my parking, I get to my condo with my app on my phone, whatever, name it. But what my point is the fact that I keep saying one thing is that, but as a rollout, when you're going to get 100 million people or 20 million people is going to use an app, there has to be some kind of tech literacy to understand the user experience. Now, I think that's where I think CMOs of today who are a bit older will not understand the need for how this is going to engage into the entire experience. And that's my question, more or less.
Okay. Maybe just to bounce ideas, like when you talk about user experience, is it a lot more on trying to bring a global product into Asia so that the localization is different, or you're referring to?
I put it this way.
Where we design.
I'll put it this way. I put a simple narrative. So what I know at 41 years old and what Sharon's kids know at 20 are two different ball games.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I understand what I need to know to run a business, but they will tell me how exactly people would like to experience it.
Got it.
So I think that's the disparity that I feel that it's a bit different what I roll out with what they are trying to understand.
Well, I think a lot of that is then if we go back to what we learned on the course in digital transformation,
Yeah.
it's human-centered design, right? Going back to co-creating products, services with your customer or target audience in mind. And that's where you get to iron out any of these discrepancies that you just mentioned, right? When you're building together with your audience, doing the interviews, getting the feedback, doing the tests and experiments, that's the best feedback you can get in terms of your product design.
And it's granted if you have budgets to have this, whatever, to circle people together. Let's say a small, like
Yeah, for sure.
medium-sized company, like small little company, and how will they look into, hey, how can I approach this the same way that you're saying right now?
Yeah, that's interesting. Because with AI now, there's actually synthetic testers that is available. It's definitely of a smaller fee compared that if you want to do a giant size marketing survey, right? Of course, the quality of the synthetic users or interviewers in that sense is still being in that early stage, right? But that said, there's healthcare. A lot of some of the major healthcare companies around the world have started to use synthetic users for their testing. And that's interesting because if healthcare is such a very serious and professional industry using it,
exactly. Yeah.
You can very much extrapolate that for more direct to consumer service or product.
It's a unique Singapore story, right?
Sorry, I lost you for a moment.
Sorry, it's a uniquely Singapore story, right?
No, it's done also in the US also, or sorry, in the UK, I believe. So,
and the NHS has done it differently, but it's not AI driven, but it's kind of fall differently. But this MOHH is very uniquely Singapore story where we did not really AI, but more of how we can collaborate things that we used to know 10 years ago. That's all. So I think it's something unique that AI is driven, or it's not AI powered, for that matter. But I feel like we have this gap, and I feel like it's something that we are moving. It's like I believe the Industrial Revolution, Mervyn. Remember the first revolution, the second, the third, the fourth. Now we're probably in the fifth. And
I probably was too young to be in the first one, but at least in the last 10 years, I was definitely in the.
That's why I say my age in the beginning, and I say so. But I think there's a revolution that comes in. And I figure out that I don't want people to be left behind. And I want marketers like yourself, myself, and we've done this for years and years. I mean, I've done it 15 years. I'm not a marketeer. I keep saying this, I'm not the best marketeer, but I understand a couple of things about it. But what I'm saying is that how do you see this progressing moving forward in the next 4 or 5 years?
You raise an interesting point on AI ethics or sort of an ethical dilemma of sorts. Yeah. I actually, one of my blog posts, I actually thought about that and wrote about it. I mean, it might not be totally relevant to what we are facing in Singapore. But that said, who is AI really being built for? Right? I mean, that is a question that we're asking. And at the end of the day, as for now, it's definitely benefiting a lot of the people who do have the first world countries, because that's where you get internet, you get to be able to use the most shiny tools like ChatGPT. You are able to pay for the subscription and so on. And as AI is an enabler,
I'll push back. Then the individual creators, right? And the thing is that to push out so much content on a weekly basis or daily basis, its monetization for a generation is different from ours, right? So, for example, if you have to, I can do 10 clips on TikTok, on Instagram Shorts, on Facebook Shorts, YouTube Shorts, whatever. Or I can do a full-on podcast that you and I are doing. So I'm trying to understand. Is it AI trying to outgrow the push of content more than it is what we used to do back then as a campaign wise? Remember when you and I used to plan a campaign? It starts in 3 months. So we got to plan the whole thing, get a media buy-in, get this, get that, and then last us 90 days at least, bare minimum before we launch. And today,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. TikTok, let's go live. I pay $20, $50, $100, $200, whatever my ROAS is. Yep. So
Yeah.
I'll just pay and I go. And then I will just send over the campaign to a performance team. The performance team runs it. But today it just feels like anybody is anybody. Like you don't need to be a marketing professional. You can just shake your booty in a TikTok video, and then you get 1 million views, right?
That's why it's called by marketing now.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
So going back to your point, then how does that justify what we are today?
But I think then, in that sense, growth marketers need to change anyway,
Exactly.
right? I mean, that has been always your premise as we started. They can't be spending time, and if you think back, a lot of that planning that in that 3 months that we're talking about, we do previously, that a lot of those are not work that I won't say it's not real work, but it's not work that it's tedious, it's manual, right?
Yeah.
Which now what AI is helping is to speed that gap, right? So that 3 months now just becomes 1 month or even a week, right? So it's not wrong to say anyone can be a marketer, but it's also not wrong to say anyone can be an influencer, anyone can be a writer as well. But what this also what this means is AI is the enabler that helps you fulfill what your passion or what you can imagine to do.
Yeah. All right. So my last parting shot with you, mate. Give me 3 things that you think is going to change. I'm going to do a quick fire with you. I'm going to name me one AI piece that you use every day.
ChatGPT.
Really? Why?
Okay, I'll give you 2 tools. ChatGPT is something which I use a lot for work, and whatnot. My browser itself is now run by Perplexity. So I use that also all the time. And the third, it has to be Google. So a lot of my home products, I speak to them, and
With Gemini.
So yeah, Gemini and Google. So these 3 tools, I would say intertwine. To is what I use almost every day. Yeah.
And Marvin, I want to ask you one question. It's 2 more questions. Yeah, one more question I want to ask you is like, what made you so passionate about what you do, man?
Wow, this is not a quick fire. It's something that we do
I'm expecting you to, because I would love to hear from this, man. I hear you because I love your thoughts and takeaways. I really do. I appreciate a lot of your thoughts and takeaways. But
in one liner, my passion is to see things grow, right? And that's why I did the career break in the course, because I truly believe that for any business or any brand that they want to grow their business, they can't be depending on any one thing inside, whether is it digital marketing or is it product design or is it data and technology. It all has to marry together.
Okay. You got any advice for anyone coming into the industry?
I'll say 3 things. You must be data literate. That is now the new baseline. The second is don't forgo.
Can you explain a data literate, bro? What data that means you must know your Google Analytics, you must know what's data literate, bro?
So of course there's a technical side, and then there is the mindset side, right? So the technical part is of course as long as you do even up to secondary school math, you're probably good enough for most digital marketing matrix, right? There's only plus minus times and divide max. That's it. I think the mindset is more important because it's being able to, when you are faced with challenges, how you break them down, because everything can be tracked so beautifully. Everything can be, there's a multiple, you can build that into multiple solutions for it, right? But if it's CPC going up, there are reasons, and it's all data driven. So use that kind of mindset when you approach problems, right? To break them down into the different matrix and use that as fact based checking when you are trying to solve problems. So having that kind of mindset, being data driven, I think that is the baseline moving forward. The second is, don't just think of platforms and tools. Think of the business, understanding what the business really stands for, what differentiates them, the strategy, because you want to be, don't just go into a company you grow where and say, oh, let's run search, let's run pay ads, let's run SEO. But why? How does this tie back to what they are actually trying to do in some business objective? Right? Where are they trying to grow in a funnel? Are they having an issue with awareness, or are they having an issue with converting people? So every single challenge, that's why I say go back to, there's a baseline. The data driven will tell you where you're supposed to go towards, and then you tie that back into your business strategy. So you focus on what you need to do, not just on media
So
platforms.
would it be right to summarize it with business first, tools after?
Yes. But the third most important one is need to be storytellers. Because
I know.
every day
I believe you 100%. I'm with you on this one. I'm with you. Yep.
You need to sell your idea.
Yeah.
You need to sell your idea. And there are a lot of people who are great problem solvers. There are people who are not really good at all the tech platforms. But what the last part that's lacking is they can't combine the two into a narrative, a story, to sell to either their clients or their bosses, to convince them that this should be the way they're doing. And ultimately what happens is you move into this illusion spiral that whatever I think is not contributing. And then I just keep doing what I've been doing.
All right, Marvin, I've got a minute left. I'm going to leave it to you. Do you any last thing you want to share with the rest of us?
Well, I think maybe as a parting word when it comes to AI and growth, the most important thing for me is AI set the floor, but humans are the ones that bring the ceiling. So don't be afraid of AI. Humanize it and then bring it to greater heights. That's my parting words.
All right, Marvin, thank you, brother. I cannot thank you so much for being on this thing. We'll put all the links to Marvin below in our YouTube channel and plus our Substack. And Marvin, I hope people get in touch with you to learn more and to hear more from you.
Yeah, always happy to speak about growth, marketing, or even just wine.
Yeah, and also talking about wine, we need some wine next week as well. I'll see you next week, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, I will.
Take care, man. Have a good one. All right.
Thanks, Rupesh.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.